This is a horror podcast, and as a result, it will have some horror in it. You may find that horror too disturbing. Don't worry, this ride is one you can get off at any time. Just press stop if it's getting to you. The Funrama at Old Man Jenkins' World of Fun and Death, that's not a ride you can get off, and honestly not one we would recommend you get on.
PseudoPod, episode 911 for May 10th, 2024. Grinning on the Way to See Mom Die, by Brian D. Hinson. Narrated by Eric Luke. Hosted by Kat Day as Scott Campbell. Audio by Chelsea Davis. Hey everyone, hope you're all doing okay. I'm not Scott, I'm Kat. Scott, the other assistant editor here at PseudoPod, was meant to be your host for this week, but he's been caught up in the storms and has lost power. He's safe, but recording this wasn't an option. So here I am to read his script. I'm excited to tell you that we have the perfect story here on PseudoPod for the Mother's Day that everywhere except the UK celebrates. It's Grinning on the Way to See Mom Die by Brian D. Hinson. And this story is a PseudoPod original. Brian D. Hinson abandoned all semblance of a career in 1999, opting for part-time gigs and visiting 40-some countries backpacker style. He recently slowed life even further to settle in deep rural New Mexico, USA, with his wife Kathleen Eichholt and 3 pit bulls to gaze at sunsets and write science fiction. His tales can be found in Cast of Wonders, Cosmas Infinities, Andromeda Spaceways, On Spec Magazine, and more. Check out his website, briandhinson.com, or find him on Blue Sky, travelinbrian.bsky.social. Your narrator is Eric Luke. He's the screenwriter of the Joe Dante film Explorers, which is currently in development as a remake. The comic books Ghost and Wonder Woman, and he wrote and directed the Not Quite Human films for Disney TV. His current project, Interference, is a meta-horror audiobook about an audiobook that kills. It's now a bestseller on audible.com. His website for creative projects is quillhammer.com. Now, fill up that tank and clean your windows, because we have a story for you, and we promise you it's true.
Grinning on the Way to See Mom Die by Brian D. Hinson. Narrated by Eric Luke. Aunt Sarah doesn't like phone calls, so I get a text that Mom's dying, hospital address included. I sigh a long one. A weird mix of emotions wrestle in my gut. I reply, okay, THX. I know how this went down. Mom got really sick, delayed telling anyone because she doesn't like doctors or medical bills. But she likes alcohol and self-medicates. A doctor had warned her a few years ago that her liver was about to give out. Aunt Sarah didn't say what was wrong with Mom. She figures I know. If I were a betting man, I'd lay $100 on cirrhosis of the liver. Easy bet. She's already had hepatitis and edema in her leg, so the end has come. I call Mom's cell, and no answer. Must be the real deal. I call up Lil Bro. He's my older brother Ollie, but he's shorter than me by a foot. He's 4'11", but if you ask, he's 5'1". I'm a little busy, he answers. Did you hear from Aunt Sarah? Is this important? Mom's dying in the hospital. Pause. Good. Thanks for the word, though. Neither of us got along with Mom. I'm thinking of driving down, saying goodbye. Gas prices are fucked right now. It's like 3.5 hours of road, and I'm on deadline. But good luck. That was me inviting you along. Gas on me. And you're lying about the deadline. Life ain't one of your kiddie books, Lucas. Ain't no happy ending. I write middle school novels. Never said it was. Sometimes maybe it should be. I'm glad it's not all tits exploding and dicks getting sawed off. Ollie writes and illustrates violent erotica comics. Incidentally, we make about the same money. I live in a ghetto studio. He in a shit trailer. You coming? Another pause. When you leaving? How's tomorrow morning? I can roll by around noon? Sure, noon. A lot to process. I check in on Mom about every other month by phone. More out of duty than love, since I had admitted to myself long ago there really wasn't any love remaining. Ollie and her stopped speaking years ago. Mom had tried to get him to come around, and I'd call him and ask, "You coming around yet?" And he'd just laugh and say, "Sure, yeah, now fuck off." See, he was the firstborn, and she was busy on meth at the time, and he got a little malnourished, stunted his growth. On her third rehab run, funded by Aunt Sarah, she had found Jesus and ditched meth for good. Then she was fucking the deacon in charge of the collection, and they started stealing and boozing together and got kicked out of church. Also, 30 days in jail, 90 probation, back on meth eventually. We spent a lot of time with Aunt Sarah growing up. Me and little bro showing up at the hospital will be a shock for Mom. Might do her in. I get a few things to make sure this 4-hour roadie will run smooth. I'm good with the decision. If I say my goodbyes, there'd be no guilt. That's how life works. Wrap a bow on this chapter and move the hell on. Next day at about 12:30, he's always late, so why should I be on time? I honk the horn outside his trailer. Ollie really should paint that peeling trim. But his flower boxes and pots look nice with red azaleas. Always red azaleas. We're in the high desert of Albuquerque, but these flowers get watered on the daily, a conservation sin. And they always look perfect. He comes down the steps, his dark hair flopped over the shaved sides, black leather jacket, his round tortoiseshell glasses fashioning at maximum artist level, his black and red leather duffel bag slung about his shoulder. I pop the trunk and feel the thunk of him plopping it in there, followed by the slam. He gets in, and first thing, "Got any weed?" I hand him the blunt I rolled last night. He sparks. "Roll down the window some," I ask. Ollie rolls down his window as he rolls up his eyes. "Sure. What a pain, little bro." I pluck my phone from the vent mount, battered and 6 years old. As long as it functions. That's my philosophy about most things. Pre-roadie selfie. Ollie nods, ashes the blunt already, chomps it between his teeth, grins, leans in. Pick 1, 2, 3, in case someone blinked. I do a check. He looks great, like Hunter Thompson with cooler clothes and lush hair. Me, toothy smile, pointy nose, receding hairline, noon 5 o'clock shadow, and a small stripe of white stain on the neck of my black tee. Yogurt, I think. I hope. Ollie takes the phone and we head out. He laughs at our pick. "Maybe Mom will want to frame it." I'll tell her that's us grinning on the way to see her die. By the time we hit the outskirts of Las Cruces, I have an undesired second-hand weed buzz, and Ollie's pointing out a liquor store, so we pull into the cracked lot. He drinks when stressed. He smokes weed for every other moment. He pops out of the car before me, heading into the rundown place with posters on the windows screaming about deals on beer and some peanut butter liquor that sounds damn dreadful. I assume he has money, since he power walked in before I closed and locked the car, but that's never a fair assumption. Inside, bright lights, dirty tile floors, and rows upon rows of alcohol. 3 walls of coolers stocked with cheap beer. Clientele in line looking both happy and sad. Mostly folks getting off work, I'd say. I catch Ollie perusing the whiskeys. "You recently got a nice royalty, right?" he asks. I sigh. I'd told him I couldn't deny it. And by nice, he meant floating expenses a couple of weeks. I nod. He picks up the 4 roses. "Split the cost? Hard times call for hard and quality liquor." I didn't plan on drinking, but I couldn't argue with the logic. I hand him 40 cash, and he marches to the counter, his swagger thickened by the 2 blunts on the drive. I head for the door, and Ollie's edged voice comes hard. "The fuck you say?" Shit, not now. Every damn time. "I need to check your ID, sir." I turn around, figure skater quick, and interject. "It's standard procedure, all, not anything else." "What else could it be? I'm 44. Short as a gnome with a huge chip on his little shoulder for the rest of his life about it. Just give the man ID and let's get on before visiting hours close. Or she croaks. He scowls that scowl he's had since before I was born and slaps his driver's license on the counter. It gets scanned, payment is made, and I take all the change. And we hit the door as a skinny guy in the Harley T whispers, a little too loudly, to the beleaguered cashier, "He needs blocks on the pedals, don't he?" Me and Ollie stop mid-step. Oh, hell. There's no holding him back. Ollie pushes the bag bottle to my hands and strides to the guy whose mouth makes an "oh" like, "Damn, I done fucked up, he wasn't supposed to hear." "I'm sorry, dude, bad joke, bad joke." His hand up and palm out in the universal gesture of surrender, his other hand occupied with a bottle of cheap vodka. Ollie gets toe-to-toe with him, looks up at the guy, who really does look sorry, and drunk, back in the store with his last dollars for a second go. Ollie curtly nods, turns around, takes a step, then whips back around on his heel and uppercuts the guy in the belly, doubling him over. The bottle drops and breaks. "I'm calling the cops," announces the cashier. A security guard comes clumping up from the back. "Let's go, all." We burst through the doors. I have the fob out and the doors open, and we chuck our asses in like we robbed the joint. Ollie grabs the bottle. I crank the Toyota on the first try. New battery a month ago. The security guard pops out as I squeal rubber in reverse. We hit the highway. In the rear view, the rent-a-cop stands with his hands on his hips, nodding in smug victory, like he chased away a couple of armed and dangerous most wanteds. I glance at little bro. Like nothing happened, he's working on getting the top off of that bottle. With the wrap peeled back, he uncorks it and swigs about 2 shots and wheezes, "We late for visiting hours?" At the hospital front desk, Ollie leans on the laminate, doing his finest not drunk impression, as he chomps on spearmint gum sounding like a panda with bamboo. The hospital front desk person, what are they called? Hell, I had a few drinks too, but just to calm nerves, but I'm not quite calm yet, looks up at me through her glasses, adjusts said glasses on her nose, and says, "She's been discharged." Ollie stops his chomping. "We missed her? She's dead?" "No," both me and this desk employee say at the same time. "She was released," she emphasizes. "Sent home." Ollie and I share a bewildered look. Then Ollie sneers. "That cunt." Back in the car, we seethe. We argue over whether to visit Aunt Sarah or Mom. Aunt Sarah was always honest, we conclude, therefore Mom must have tricked her. After more inebriated debate, and more liquid inebriant, we drive to Mom's in the growing darkness. We decided to say our goodbyes now, say anything that needs to be said, leave, and never return, never call. It's all over. "Fuck this, and fuck her," mutters Ollie. I pull into her drive, headlights glinting off the bumper of her old silver Ford pickup. Years ago, some boyfriend dumped it on her. She managed to keep it running ever since. The only thing she ever consistently cared for. "One more," says Ollie as he swigs from the bottle. "Sure." I take it and hit it. It's half done. We head up the porch steps and Ollie knocks. The doorbell hasn't worked in 10 years. The screen door's holes tell of its age as well. After a minute, and Ollie rapping another time, the door squeaks open on rusty hinges. The TV noise of a car chase grows loud. There's Mom. Blonde-dyed hair in a Karen coif, perpetually tired eyes that brighten a smidge, her face more wrinkled now than the last time I saw her. She starts to open her mouth, and Ollie pipes up with, "Aunt Sarah said you were almost dead." Mom opens the decrepit screen door. "Hate to make you drive all this way. I thought I was dying. Ambulance ride and all. Legs swelled up like about to pop. Get in here," she frowns. "Were you celebrating? You two smell like a distillery." We freeze. Was that what we were doing? "If there's anything left in that bottle, bring it in," she says. "No. You got that liver thing." I could never spell cirrhosis, but when drunk I couldn't even say it. "Fine. Come in and sit down. Whether or not I die today, I was told my days are short. Let me look at yous. Let's pretend for a minute we're a Disney family. You won't suffer too much. Sleep here tonight if you like. I know it's a long drive, and I'm sorry it was a burden." Mom sits herself down on a recliner I'd not seen before. Vinyl, fuchsia, a garage sale monstrosity. The once tired sofa is now completely exhausted, the same green thing since we were kids. It was old then. We sit. Mom flicks off the TV by remote and turns to us. "You boys look fine. I'm flattered you drove out here." Ollie hops up. He's both drunk and agitated. I hate when he paces, and there's only 3 steps in either direction to release his bad energy. His hands curl into claws as he speaks. "Mom, I got things to say." Mom runs a hand through her hair, nods, slight downturn at the corners of her mouth. "I already know I was bad." "You're a shit mom. That's why we never come around. We came out here to make some peace with you before you croak, and this feels like we've been tricked." More pacing. "Tricked? Like for attention or something?" "Ollie, I called an ambulance. I told your Aunt Sarah what the doctors told me." Ollie pulls a skeptical look. "So the doctor said you were dying? On the verge of death?" "Well, not in so many words." "Damn it, Mom!" Ollie shakes his head. "Look, I know I was a substandard mother. You remind me every chance you get." "Well, I wonder why," says Ollie, shaking his head and appealing to the ceiling. "It's not like I meant to make you short." "Fucking fuck!" Ollie swipes at the glass vase on the battered console table by the bay window. A heavy glass vase with serious heft. Life slows. It hurtles past me in a straight line and strikes Mom on the forehead and cracks before dropping to the floor damaged, but not shattered. There's spattering blood. Mom is tossed back like a frail old woman smacked in the head with something heavy and glass. She slumps, bleeding. A lot. Me and Ollie freeze and stare. Blood droplets dot the wall. She's not moving. I hear the patter of blood droplets on the wood floor. "Mom?" Ollie whispers. I stand. "Get a towel or something," I tell Ollie. He runs down the hall as I approach Mom. She's collapsed over the arm of the recliner, blood dripping from a gash to the wood floor, drizzling down the chair. Her mouth is stuck in a weird grin, showing her meth teeth that she always hid by smiling toothlessly. "Hell," I whisper. I lean in, peering closely at the river flowing from her skull. Ollie returns with a forest green bath towel. "What do I do?" I don't know how to feel for a pulse. I don't know how to feel either, as nausea and fear twist in my belly. I touch her neck like I know what I'm doing. I detect nothing but my shaking hand. Placing my palm on her chest through her beige sweater, I should find, and pretty damn directly, Her heartbeat, right? I wait. Nothing. I grab a framed picture from the coffee table. Me and Ollie, shirtless kids, me missing 2 front teeth, and hold it to her slightly open lips. I wait. Hope. For the fog. Nothing. I should stop the bleeding, right? Says Ollie. I shake my head. She's dead. Ollie stands there with the towel in both hands. I didn't get to say what I had to say. What do we do? Pause. We call 911. I turn away from Mom and look down at little bro as he fumbles for his phone in his jacket pocket, towel still in his other hand. That's not a good idea. She might not be dead. You're no fucking doctor. Ollie shoves me aside and applies that bath towel to her bleeding skull. That towel staunches the river of leaking blood. It soaks through to Ollie's hands. Mom? I look around the living room. It's changed. The flat-screen TV, different stains on the carpet. But that old coffee table from the 70s and the sofa are the same. We played here with our garage sale hand-me-down toys, scratched Matchbox cars and scuffed Star Wars figures, mostly stuff Aunt Sarah got us. Mom would come from the kitchen and announce she'd fixed ketchup sandwiches. They were pretty good. We didn't know any better. Any lunch was a good lunch. Sometimes there wasn't any. Mom, Ollie asks again. She's gone, I say. Call 911, he shouts. I close my eyes, breathe in the metallic scent of blood and the mustiness of the old crackerbox house. Everyone knows you hated her. We just left a liquor store that has footage of you punching some dude. Do you see what I'm getting at? Mom? He whispers. Ollie finally wraps his head around the circumstance. We spend hours getting the blood off the recliner and the hardwood floor. We use bleach. It messes up the wood, but we had to be sure no blood remained. Mom spilled some bleach, right? Nothing suspicious. This cleanup had to be executed perfectly. Mom had also shit herself. This was Ollie's doing, unintended, sure, but I wasn't driving with the shitty-ass corpse of Mom all the way back home. Besides, unpleasant. What if a cop pulls us over and the car smells like we shit ourselves? Suspicious, that's what. Ollie and I carry her to the bathtub and he cleans her up with the sprayer and shampoo. Ollie could be an asshole, but he knew he'd fucked up and took a little responsibility. I move the car to the street and back it in. We load her body, wrapped in about 20 black garbage bags, from the side door. Only possible witness would be the next-door neighbors, and by now it was really late. Their place is dark. I close the trunk as quietly as I can. We drive. We get about a block away, and Ollie hits the bottle. Are you serious right now? I ask. Chill out. We made it. And Mom just died. Like I need more of an excuse? I groan. It's 4 a.m. We'd make it back around 8, rush hour. We haven't discussed where we're taking her. Right. Well, we stop by my place. I have a shovel. We drive out to Manzanos, the national forest. Pick one of the trails by the last forest fire so no one will be out that way. We'll be alone. We carry her like way off the trail and start digging. My eyebrows rise. It's actually a decent plan. You've been thinking about this. I also write a lot of this shit and draw it. You'd know if you were supportive and read my stuff. Are we going to defile her corpse, too? Man, fuck off! I grinned for the first time since we'd left Albuquerque. But, I mean, investigators go by teeth, right? If someone finds her, like, even 20 years later, her teeth will still be good. Ollie took another shot from the bottle. We can get a hammer if you're up for breaking her teeth out. No. You did this. I have my fucking limits, man. Old lady shit is the worst. He levels his voice out, and hard to bury someone deep out there. Rocky. Coyotes might dig her up, scatter her bones and her skull. We'll head back to the spot after a few weeks and look for her skull, then take the teeth. That was stupid drunk talk. No use arguing that now. And there might not be any hikers, but forest rangers still ride by, he added. Doing their thing. Watching shit. Right. So, we go there at night? Dude, no. Headlights can be seen for a mile. And they lock the gates, so no. But we should stop by your place and grab your backpack and shit like we're for real. That means more driving. With a body in the trunk. To my place in a big apartment complex at rush hour. Okay. The miles go by as we sit in silence. Nothing but road noise. Calming. The hum of tires on pavement. The 74 miles an hour breeze rushing by. I had set the cruise control 1 increment below the speed limit. Was that suspicious? Or not suspicious? A cop wouldn't blink at that, right? Not on a weeknight. We'd be good. We could do this. I gotta pee, announces Ollie. Maybe you shouldn't drink so much. Not right now. I ain't driving. That's not the point. More stops for you pissing. Mom just died. Cut me a little slack. I pound the steering wheel. She's my mom too. But you're driving. That's not the goddamn point. I can wait till we hit a rest stop. No, those places have cameras. I'll pull over and you'll piss on the side of the road. The urge hit me too. And now I need to piss. Well, then quit blaming me for everything. Christ on a pinwheel crucifix. I hit the steering wheel again, paining my palm. I grunt in frustration. No one is on the freeway ahead or behind us. We pull over on the shoulder. Ollie jumps out. I jump out. In the desert scrub, we stream our streams in the night, puddling, the car idling behind, the wind feathering my thinning hair. Thunk! My piss stops midstream. Ollie keeps going. He didn't hear. Thunk! He stops pissing, and his eyes widen in the moonlight. My piss resumes. Ollie looks back to the car. You told me she was dead. No heartbeat. No breath. He zips up. My pee trickles to a stop. He hits me in the shoulder. She's banging on the trunk, wrapped up in trash bags. I tuck and zip. We stare at each other, waiting for one other to say something, to come up with a plan, a solution. Thunk! Thunk! What do we do here? I ask. This is so fucked up, he whispers. Ollie stares off into the darkness. The car idles. Breeze raises goose flesh. I swallow, and it's loud as it slithers over the lump in my throat. Ollie smacks his own face 4 times, something he does to straighten out his thinking, walks back to the car, opens the passenger door, and returns with the whiskey. He takes a slug, passes it to me. I take a slug. We stare off into the night beside the freeway. A car speeds by. Thunk! Thunk! I look at Lil Bro. His jaw is set. He's got a rage building up behind those eyes. It's been a long day of blind alleys, of belched up memories, and unexpected violence. He drinks. I drink. She might die on the rest of the drive, I say. Ollie shakes his head. You want to hear her knocking on the trunk door for a couple of hours? The bottom of the bottle goes up as he takes a long pull. Not much left. He hands the bottle to me. I slosh the liquid around nervously. I used cash at the liquor store. That was a plus. No name left behind. Just a face. If anyone makes a connection between a missing old woman and some temperamental short dude punching a guy, that's a long shot, right? A feeble voice comes from the trunk, barely audible over the idling Toyota, above the gentle, cool night breeze. Somebody help me! I finish off the bottle and drop it to the ground. Ollie picks it up. That's something stupid that I'd do. He puts the empty bottle in the back seat. He reaches to the driver's door and punches the trunk release. The trunk unlatches, but doesn't raise. Help! So weak. Together we walk to the trunk. Ollie lifts the lid. In the wan light cast by the trunk bulb, there's Mom, most of her head free of the garbage bags along with her left arm. Her face is crusted with dried blood. A wet line of fresh blood streaks one cheek. One of her eyes is glued shut with blood and hair. The one eye squints, focuses. Ollie? What's going on? Lucas? Ollie opens the compartment for the jack. Mom's eyes focus on me. Lucas? She wheezes. Ollie pulls out the tire iron. He grips it in both hands as he stares at Mom. The anger has drifted from his eyes, and pity settles in. I'm sorry, you guys. There's some cry in her shaky voice. I know I was a bad mother. Please, take me home. A single track of tears streaks down over her nose and across her blood-caked cheek. Ollie licks his lips, shakes his head. Let's get her to a hospital. Just drop her and run. My heart hammers. Thing is, Ollie always got extra mad when he fell for Mom's explanations for why she didn't keep a promise to take us to the park, or use that money for food, or why she hocked the TV. Again. Man, his rage would burn, and things would break, like our crap second-hand toys, but he'd eventually fall for it again. The blood in my head thrums louder than the idling Toyota. Mom never looked out for Ollie. I had to. Once old enough to pay attention, I did that. For all these years now, I wouldn't stop. Mom's good eye, almost clean from her cry, goes from me to Ollie and back. Come here, Mom, I say, as I reach in for her arm and scooch her toward the rear bumper. Tangled in the garbage bags, Mom feebly wriggles as I move her gently as possible. She peels blood-crusted hair from her face. It sounds like removing tape. I'm so sorry, she says. I'm sorry too, Mom, says Ollie. Jesus, now he was on the edge of a cry. He never was the strong one. A little psycho, sure, but that's different. I still had to look out for him. Even now, it was my duty. Look out for little bro. He makes decisions with his temper and his heart. Give it here, I say to Ollie and hold out my hands for the tire iron. He hands it to me, wipes a tear. Mom, let me help you sit up. We'll get you out of there. Ollie takes her hand. Perfect. Her arms out of the way. Gripping with both hands, I raise the tire iron high.
Well done. You've survived another story. What did you think of Grinning on the Way to See Mom Die by Brian D. Hinson? If you're a Patreon subscriber, we encourage you to pop over to our Discord channel and tell us. Scott had this to say about the story. We had a debate here at PseudoPod Towers about this story. Specifically, is it horror? Obviously we decided yes. There are definitely monsters, and that building feeling of dread that something bad is going to happen. Really, this is a ghost story. You have the ghosts of the past intruding into the present. Generational trauma that leaves bruises on your mind as well as your body. Trauma that turns grief into obligation and love into rage. Adding insult to injury, I did the best I could. I bet some of you flinched at that. Inadequate excuses and fake apologies that pick at the wound, infecting it, and the pain will make you do anything to make it stop. It won't, of course. No matter how many times he swings that tire iron, because they made one of the classic blunders. They went to the haunted house, or trailer in this case, knowing it's haunted. They even go at night. They think they're going to vanquish the ghost, but they've already lost. Breaching the defences of the ego is a long, complicated battle, and not always successful. And what do you win? Powerful words. Thank you, Scott. Stay safe, my friend. Now, on to the subject of subscribing and support. PseudoPod is funded by you, our listeners, and we're now formally a non-profit. One-time donations are gratefully received and much appreciated, but what really makes a difference is subscribing. A $5 monthly donation on Patreon will go further than you would believe. Subscribers give us way more than just money. They give us stability, reliability, and dependability. Monthly donations give PseudoPod a well-maintained tower from which to operate, and trust us, you don't want breaches in our walls. If you can, please go to pseudopod.org and sign up by clicking on Feed the Pod. If you have any questions about how to support EA and ways to give, please reach out to us at donations@escapeartist.net. If you can't afford to support us financially, please consider leaving reviews for our episodes, or generally talking about them on whichever form of social media seems the least awful this week. I mean, they're all terrible, so why not all of them? Oh, except for Blue Sky. Find us at pseudopod.org. If you like merch, Escape Artist also has a Void merch store, with a huge range of goodies, t-shirts and other goodies. The link is in the various places, including our pinned tweet. Check it out. PseudoPod is part of the Escape Artist Foundation, a 501c3 non-profit, and this episode is distributed under the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Download and listen to the episode on any device you like, but don't change it or sell it. Theme music is by permission of Anders Manga. And finally, PseudoPod knows a boy's best friend is his mother. See you soon, folks. Take care. Stay safe.
An arm appeared from nowhere on the shape, seemingly projected like the pseudopod of a protozoan.
It's a pseudopod. It's a big foot.
It's all about podcasts these days.